Hello and welcome to Mo Car Problems. I'm your host Moses. So I'm just going to continue about repair shops. So where I left off I was talking about mechanics, bad mechanics, right? Ones that may not know how to fix your car correctly. So your check engine light comes on. Let's say it's a code P0300 or 301. 301 is a cylinder misfire in cylinder 1. So that gives you an idea of where the computer sees as a problem. So I know it's common for people to say it needs an ignition coil, and that usually fixes it, but you still need to test it. So an easy test would be swap it with a good cylinder. So cylinder 1's misfiring, swap it with cylinder 3. If that code changes, P0303, you'll know, okay, the coil is bad because the code followed it. It followed the bad part. That's a nice, easy way to check it. Doesn't take too long to do. If that doesn't fix it, okay, it's not a coil. Even though it's the most common problem, it's not a coil. Check and make sure you got power and ground going to the coil. Some of these cars up north, animals hide underneath in the car. They'll build a nest, rats, animals, mice, and they'll chew the wires. So if a wire is chewed, then yeah, there's no voltage going to that coil. It's not going to be running right. So once you check voltage, the coil's not getting voltage, you got to trace back the wires and see what's going on. If that's fine, swap fuel injectors, cylinder 1, cylinder 3, or 4, whatever cylinder you want to swap it with. If the code changes, then that's the problem. If not, you keep diagnosing, you go further. Okay, now we're going down the worst case scenarios now. Is it a cylinder head gasket? Is it your compression ring on your piston? What is wrong with this vehicle? And I know a customer will be very upset if you tell them they're going to need a $200 ignition coil repair and then call them back an hour later and say now they need a $6,000 engine. Are you really going to play the card of, oh, while we're in there, we figure this is bad? Or are you going to tell the customer the truth? My technician misdiagnosed your car. It doesn't need a coil, it needs an engine. It's very rare I do see a shop that may possibly say that and admit it. Hey, my tech misdiagnosed it. I'm not going to charge you for the coil. We're going to return that. It does need an engine though. Extremely rare. Most shops, the service writers, the mechanics will double down and not admit they misdiagnosed the car. Oh, while we're in there, it also needed this. Oh, it needed that, but it also needs this too. Really? An engine? That's a big jump. So that way they don't have to back charge and give you a refund. They can charge you for that part and for the engine, even though you needed the engine the whole time. They just didn't test it to that point. I got a code, throw a part at it. I'm seeing that happen a lot. A lot of shops are doing that now. I got a code, throw a part at it. They don't test nothing. And you have to test it. You need to test. You're supposed to test. So that's how I know that some of these shops are guessing. When they call me to file a warranty claim, hey, customer has Bob's warranty. I want to see if this warranty covers the repair. And then they'll say, I ask, okay, what's the text diagnosis? Customer came in with a check engine light. I got a code P301, bad coil. And that's the whole diagnosis. I'm like, what else? No, that's it. You didn't check anything else? Well, I got a code, so there's nothing else to check. No, you gotta check. I can't tell him how to do his job. Power, ground, compression test, blah, blah, blah. I can't do that. I'm not supposed to do that. But I need to know what actually failed here. So if you're curious, if you want to try that little experiment, when next time you go to a repair shop and you have a check engine light on and they tell you what's wrong with the car, ask them, how did your technician diagnose this car? You want me to pay you an hour of diag? Tell me what your tech did in that hour. A code scan takes 5 to 10 minutes. What do you do for the other 50 minutes you're charging me? So you're charging me an hour for diag, right? What else did he do? If they say he got a code and that's it, that's what's wrong, that's what the code's for, bam, you part guessed. I got a code, throw a part at it. That's how you know. If he doesn't tell you this long, detailed list of what he did, check power and ground, check this, check that, then you know, okay, it takes him 5 seconds to explain the diagnosis, or it takes him 10 minutes. You'll know the difference. You know if they're part guessing or not. And some of my friends I work with at CarMax, they work at a different location now. They tell me too, they see mechanics still, this very day, they still, just, some of them don't know how to diagnose cars. Very few do, and some do not. And it's sad because you're a customer, you don't know any better half the time, right? You don't know if they're guessing or not. You assume they're experts. I've seen this happen at dealerships. I've seen it happen at small shops. So don't assume because you're at a Mercedes dealer, they're not doing that. Oh, I've seen them do it. I've seen them do that with engines. This car is making noise. Sounds like an engine. Bam, that's the whole diagnosis. They don't check numbers. They don't check even codes. They don't check the fluid condition. They check nothing. You need an engine because it sounds like it. Good enough for me. And that's it. They're not used to people questioning them when they ask them, how do you diagnose that? How do you know? They're used to just saying what they found. Service writer calls a customer. You need an engine. Customer usually doesn't question them. Yes, I can do it, or no, not right now. And then that's it, right? They're not used to people asking, well, how did you test it? Tell me your steps. They're not used to hearing that. And some will get mad. He's a certified technician. You're questioning his worth? What he knows what he's doing? Yes, I am. That was too quick of a diagnosis. So, and I've had shops call back multiple times before. I need to add on a part. I need to add on more to this claim. I need to add on this. I was like, oh, well, that just confirms my findings. You were part guessing. You were guessing. You didn't know. And there's a dealership that we work with specifically. I can't say the name. It seems like they're known for doing this at this point. That is what they do. It's just code, throw a part at it. They put in for big claims too, where they don't even check for code sometimes. And I send out inspectors because like, all right, this is suspicious. I'll send out an inspector to verify that this is what's wrong with the car. I would say 5 to 6 times out of 10, the inspector comes back with at least 1 or 2 things that was not wrong with the car. The mechanic said it needed this and this and this and this and this. It only needs this and this. This other stuff it didn't need. There was nothing wrong with it. Because they guessed. They weren't planning on someone questioning them. I've had it happen where this shop said on a BMW, half of the powertrain was bad. The front diff, the rear diff, the transfer case, they said all of it was bad because the customer said it was making noise. And his diagnosis was he verified the sound needs all that stuff. That was it. That was the whole diagnosis. He verified it was making noise, it needs all this stuff. I sent out an inspector, he said the front diff is making noise, and that's it. The transfer case is not, the rear end is not. If he spent more than 10 minutes looking at this car, he would have known. Clearly the mechanic didn't do that. Even for the inspector, the mechanic refused to scan for codes. Nope, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, okay, well, we're only approving what was verified. So the inspector said only one part was failed. We're paying for that one part. If I just took their word for it, I would have spent thousands of dollars replacing all the other stuff the shop said they needed when they clearly didn't need it. They were guessing. They don't want to spend the time looking at it. And some of these service writers will fight tooth and nail protecting these mechanics like they know what they're doing. And some of these service writers don't know about cars. Service writer is the person you talk to when you go to get your service done on your car. They usually at the front desk. They usually answer the phone. They're not the mechanic. They're in between. You and the mechanic, they're in between. They'll charge you for the bill. They'll write up the service you need. That's a service writer. So a lot of them don't even know about cars. Very few do. And some of them learn based off of what mechanics tell them. So if a mechanic tells them, I got a code this is what's wrong, if they're told that over and over and over again, the service writer is going to think that that's okay, that that's how you normally test cars. They don't have the training to know that. They didn't go to mechanic school. Very few service writers do know about cars, like a mechanic. Very, very, very few. A lot of them have no idea at all. So you ask a service writer, hey, my car is doing this. What do you think? They may not know it all, or they'll tell you what the mechanics say all the time. Oh, it's common. You need a thermostat. It's common in this car. I don't care if it's common. Test my car. Some of these mechanics do that too. Oh, it's common on Toyotas that it needs a thermostat. Okay, cool. I need you to test my car though. Test it correctly. Don't replace a part of my car because it's common that this part fails. That may not be the case this time. Maybe it could be something completely different, the same symptoms. You need to diagnose and test this car correctly. I've seen a shop put in for all your ignition coils, all of them. All of them need to be replaced. Was a car driven in? Yes. How is that possible? I made an example, I believe, in the last video. I'm like, how did you walk to the hospital with broken legs? How is that possible? How are you going to tell me this car drove in when every single coil for every cylinder in this entire engine is misfiring, not burning fuel? How is that possible? And sometimes a service writer will try to adjust the words a little bit. Oh, well, it's intermittently. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I'm like, there's no way. Oh, yeah? So sometimes my legs work and sometimes they don't? And I walked into the hospital? Walked into the hospital with broken legs because sometimes they weren't broken? I don't think so. Not every single coil. And I sent out inspectors, and guess what? Didn't need all of them. It needed one. Not 6, not 8 coils, 1. Because I got a code, I want to eliminate the possibility of being anything else. I don't want to test all of these coils. I'm going to just replace all of them. I don't want to waste my time testing everything. I want to make more money too. I can replace all the coils and make more money. So with the coils, like that's just an example. They can do that with a lot of different parts, but with ignition coils, I've seen that a lot. Oh, is it different brand coils? Or there's one shop that put in for all the ignition coils, all the fuel injectors, all the spark plugs, and he said, this is what I have to start with before I truly test the car. I have to start with this. The repair is over $1,000 at this point, labor and parts. And you didn't test the car because you got this code. You're making them replace most of this stuff to start? How about you test the car? It might just need one coil. You're replacing all 8 coils, all 8 injectors, all 8 spark plugs to start? No, you don't replace parts to start. You diagnose to see what's wrong and replace what's wrong. Not to start. Because that's guessing. So if you bring a car in and they give you a grocery list of what that one code caused, it wouldn't hurt to get a second opinion. Maybe call a more trustworthy shop in your area. Look at the reviews. Hey, I had my car diagnosed at this tire shop. I see you have a good reputation. This is what they say I need based off a code. What do you think? Even if my car does need all these parts, what do you charge? And some shops will price match. Oh, we can get it done for less than that. Oh, they're ordering the parts from Ford. We'll get it from the auto store. And we'll warranty it for 3 years. And we'll do it for less money. Shop around. Note, if you're going to go to multiple shops, though, and they may ask you to re-diagnose your car to make sure that that last shop you went to actually tested it correctly, they're going to charge you to diagnose it. So I wouldn't say go to multiple shops for this problem, because every shop you go to is probably going to charge you to re-diagnose your car. How do I know that that shop tested it correctly? Let my shop diagnose it to see if that's truly what you need. You go to another shop. Let my shop test it to see if that's really what you need. You see what I mean? So I wouldn't be going to 5 different shops. If you know for a fact this needs to be replaced, then you can ask over the phone, hey, what do you charge to replace this part? This shop will do it for this. Can you match? A decent amount of shops will. They'll do what they can because they want business. They'll lower the price. Yeah, we can do it for less than that. So if you question it, by all means, get another opinion. All right. I've seen some mechanics that guess for labor. I can tell, even on the phone. I'm like, how much does it take to change this radiator? About 6 hours. About 6 hours? What do you mean about? You don't know? So a lot of these mechanic shops have a guide, a labor guide, that tells you how long it takes to do the job. At my last warranty company, we used ALLDATA and Michelin. You have to pay for those. And they tell you how long it takes to do the job. They either get the information from the manufacturers or they have mechanics that remove the part and put it back together about 3 times in a row to look at the average time it takes to do the part. So I'll look it up. 6 hours. ALLDATA says 2.5. Overcharging labor. Man, this looks like a pain in the butt. I'm going to charge more labor to do it. And you won't know. You assume that's how long it takes to do it, right? I've adjusted labor on claims multiple times a day. But they're overcharging on labor. The job takes 4 hours to do, they're charging me 8. The job takes 3 hours to do, the shop is charging me 10. I had an Audi dealer argue with me, I believe last week. The service writer, he was doubling down, tripling down with cherries on top, swearing a camshaft cover is not the same as a valve cover. What do you think a valve cover is? It covers the valves, the camshafts, it covers all that. But he's used to it being called a camshaft cover. So when he quoted me 10 hours to do this valve cover, and I found the labor on ALLDATA, it said like 2.5, he's way overcharging me. Way overcharging. And he tried to justify it by going, it's not the same thing. A camshaft cover is not the same as a valve cover. It's not the same. It's not. I'm like, it is the same. They cover the same parts. It's like coolant and antifreeze. They're the same thing. People in Florida usually call it coolant. You go up north, people call it antifreeze. But you can't have water in your radiator up north. They'll freeze. So antifreeze has chemicals in it mixed with water so it doesn't freeze. So up north, they call it antifreeze. Down south, they call it coolant. It's the same thing. Same with an alternator. Some people call it a generator. Some people call it an alternator. It's the same part. So you call it a camshaft cover. I call it a valve cover. It's the same part. I took the part number they gave me. I Googled it even, and it pulls up valve cover on Audi's websites, multiple dealer websites from Audi's. It says valve cover. He swore, because the labor was so less than what he was quoting me, he swore it's a different part. So I had to send out an inspector, which cost us $105 every time I sent out an inspector. I sent out an inspector just to prove to him. Sent an inspector out. He came out and was like, this is a valve cover. So I had to spend over $105 from our company to send out an inspector to prove a point. And then once I showed the inspection report to the service writer, inspector verifies valve cover is leaking. He shut up. He just accepted the bill of what I said we'll pay. Okay. Here's a customer signature. The repairs are done. Send us what you authorized. He didn't argue anymore. But he swore in his life it was a different thing. They're the same thing. Imagine if you're a customer and you had to pay out of pocket for this repair. He would have charged you 10 hours to change the valve cover. All that it says 2.5. The software we use says 2.5 hours. How long it takes to do the job. You're a customer and you're paying 10. You don't know that. A lot of shops are overcharging on labor. A lot. A lot of them don't look it up. Or they may use some labor software that I didn't even heard of. Some labor softwares you can edit. So it could say 5 hours. They can edit it and put 12. And then when the customer complains, spin the computer screen around. See, it says 12. I'm not making this up. And they also charge you more on parts. So if a shop gets this part for $200 at the local parts store, they're not charging you $200. They want a percentage. They want to make money off the parts and the labor. So even though they got the part for $200, they're going to charge you $280. They're going to charge you $320. It could be a specific dollar amount, or it could be a percentage. When I worked at the transmission shop, he wanted us to charge a percentage. The owner, he wanted me to charge a percentage. So 20%, let's say, on parts. Whatever it costs us to buy the part, add 20% on top of that. If the customer really cannot afford it and they're begging and they can't afford the repair, you can lower it to 10% on parts. That's what he wanted me to do. And a lot of the repairs, I did 10%. I was trying to be fair. And he didn't like that. He wanted, no, charge 20, maybe more than that. Only give them 10% extra on parts if they really can't afford it. So whatever it costs them in parts, they'll charge you extra on top of that. And a lot of them charge you more on labor. Some don't even look it up. This looks like it'd be a 6-hour job, and they'll charge you. Try it. Next time you go to the shop and they charge you for a quote, where'd you get that labor from? Oh, my technician. No. Do you have a labor guide? Show me. Can you show me that labor guide, please? Can you show me? Watch how they're not going to show you. Or they start getting mad. Or they're going to edit their screen to whatever numbers they said and then show you the screen. Sure, wait 1 second. Type it in stuff. And then they show you the screen. See? Yeah, well, why were you typing? Why didn't you just flip the screen around when I asked? What were you doing? The transmission shop I worked for had the 2 different screens. They had a customer view and a repair shop view. The repair shop view would say, this part cost me $200. The labor to do the job, let's say it's 5 hours. They put everything together, put the percentages in, how much you want to charge, and then switch it to customer view. So when the customer comes in, you flip the screen around and show them only what you want them to see. So they see the part plus 20%. They don't see the 20% part. They'll see part $220 or $280, whatever percentage the shop wanted to charge. So if it's 20%, they'll say $220 for this part. I'll say the labor. I'll keep out all the other stuff and fees. I won't say all that stuff. They'll only show what the customer gets to see. So you better hope you don't click repair shop view in front of the customer. Will they see how much it really cost you to get that part? We did use a labor guide for the labor. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I appreciate that honesty. We used the labor guide for the labor. We didn't just make up the labor. But the part percentage, 20% isn't that much. Because every shop needs to make money. But if it's more, then yeah, don't be greedy. You can charge over 50% of what it costs you to get the part. Don't do that. That's greedy. You're already making money off the labor. But almost every shop is going to charge you money on top of the part. Some may charge you more on labor. All right. And some of the mechanics as well, I believe I touched on this, won't tell you if they misdiagnosed the car. So they'll misdiagnose your car, they call you back, it also needs this. Maybe it does while they're in there, they found out that was bad. Or they misdiagnosed it, they're trying to cover it up. And there's a case where there's a Nissan technician. He called in saying he needed an AC compressor. So he asked the mechanic, okay, what was wrong with the AC compressor? What was your testing? You know what this man said? The hour of diag he wants to charge me? Well, I got the customer's car. I pushed the button to turn on the AC and it didn't turn on. And he's a compressor. Bam, that was it. So let me get this straight. You want an hour of diagnosis because you pushed the AC button and it didn't turn on? And you want me to pay you an hour for that? What were the freon levels? Was there power and ground to that compressor? What were your readings? He couldn't answer me. He didn't. I have to charge for the diagnose that. I'm like, I'm already charging you to diagnose it. What do you mean? You're gonna charge me a separate diag? You didn't test it the first time. You just verified the concern. You verified what the customer said is actually happening. So you're not wasting your time diagnosing something where there isn't a problem. You need to verify the concern before you start diagnosing. You pushed a button, it didn't work. You verified the AC is not working. Cool. Now you need to test. You didn't test anything. And the service writer was getting mad saying, this is a Nissan certified mechanic. Oh yeah? Then why didn't you test it? He's like, and the mechanic was like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You're the mechanic. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to test the AC not working? What do you usually do? What's common that compressors go bad? It's common. You don't replace the part because it's common. You test it. And I was like, again, we're not supposed to tell them how to test things. So I was like, let's start with the levels. Tell me what the freon levels are. I'll pay you for diag to actually diagnose the car. So let's start with the freon levels. What are those levels? Why don't you start with that? I'm like, do I really have to tell this guy how to diagnose the car? I shouldn't have even done that. But that will get the ball rolling, loosen up the gears for him to, because this is clearly someone who doesn't know how to test cars. And it seems like he does this all the time for him to be like, it's common. This is what usually goes bad. This isn't what you always do? Push a button, throw in $1,000 compressor? Is that what you always do? So, yeah, some of these mechanics don't know what they're doing. Doesn't matter if it's a dealer. Doesn't matter if it's a small shop. I've seen some small shops where the mechanic's diag was excellent. I've seen some that are not. And they overcharge on parts, on labor, and they don't know how to fully test the car correctly. So, ask them those questions. What did you do in the diagnosis? Okay, you got the code. What did you do after you got the code? What did you do? I need an air filter that's dirty. Can I see it? Call another shop. Hey, they say I need this part. Does that sound right? What would you charge to replace the part? This is what they're charging me. Whatever you can do to try to help yourself or protect yourself at this point, that's what I'm trying to suggest to you. At least arm yourself with knowledge. Because like I said, some of them get paid, most of them mechanics get paid flat rate, where it's like they want to make a paycheck. They're going to charge you whatever they can. however they can. There are some honest mechanics, there are, but there's a lot that are not. A lot. And a lot of them won't install your parts either. So if you figure, oh, I'll just get this part at the local parts store, can you install it for me? A lot of the shops won't, because they want to make money on the part, right? So if you're buying the part, they're only making money on labor. They won't want to install it. No, we don't install customer parts. Nope. Because they want to make that profit. Very, very few shops will consider it. Most won't. If it's because they want to make money on the part, or this part, I understand, they don't know where you're getting the part from. You're buying it from some Chinese rip-off eBay store, a $400 part that eBay's selling for 20 bucks. You really think it's the same quality? If that part fails, you are probably going to go after the mechanic. You put the part in wrong or so, they're not going to want to deal with that. So from that perspective, I think it's fair. Okay, I don't want you to put in a part that way from a random website I never even heard of, and you're going to lie and say you bought it from the dealer. No, you bought this off eBay. However, if they say, sure, you want to get the part from AutoZone or the dealer and bring it to us and we'll install it, I think that's fair if they do that. But not let you buy a part from wherever you found it online and throw it in, because you're probably going to go after them. And here's something too. Some of these stores, when I say they offer warranties on the parts, the warranties may not pay that much. So to give you an example, I believe, don't quote me on this, I think it was AutoZone, where when I worked at the shop, a transmission shop, and AutoZone, when you buy a part from them at the time, I believe they had let's say it was a 2-year warranty. Meaning if the part fails, they'll warranty it, right? Up to 2 years. So if you're a repair shop buying the part from AutoZone, AutoZone needs to not only warranty that part to be replaced again, AutoZone needs to pay the mechanic to take that bad part out and put the new one in. You got to pay for labor and parts to do that job again. So let's say that shop charges $150 per hour to do the work. AutoZone may decide, I'm only going to pay $30 an hour. And you're like, what? My shop charges $150 per hour. Yeah, well, we pay $30 per hour. Take it or leave it. But it's not our fault that your part failed. Well, that's all of our warranty. Take it or leave it. So some shops may not want to deal with that. So if you're buying this part from a local store like that, they may say, no, the AutoZone warranties are garbage. They barely pay for the labor if the part fails again. My tech will lose money. Granted, I don't know if that's for a fact how much AutoZone pays for their warranty for labor. That's what I mean by don't quote me on that. But I remember it being a lot less than what the shops charge. So sometimes the shops may not take that part. They may get it from their vendors, their parts department people, or from the dealer they may order parts from. To make sure they get covered if the part fails again, they'll get paid to put in the right part. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay. I notice this a lot with European car companies. Sometimes the dealers and, Ford and Chevy too sometimes, but mostly European car companies. One-time use parts. So you need to replace a oil pan gasket. You would think you just replace just the gasket and, the oil, right? And call it a day. some of these shops, especially European car shops, BMW, Mercedes, they will replace almost every part under the sun to get to that part. They will replace it. Every pipe, every bolt, every screw, every hose, they will charge you. And I've seen it where with the warranty, us as the warranty company, their contract may not cover hoses and stuff or screws. So the customer will be like, I'm going to go somewhere else. They'll go to a small shop that says they specialize in European cars. And they're only charging for the gasket and oil. That's it. Because they know, oh, that stuff is a one-time use. They're upselling like crazy. And they claim it's one-time use. A gasket being one-time use? Okay, fair enough. A metal pipe? Or a hose? No. That's not one-time use. That's reusable. Understand if the hose is brittle and falling apart, then you would say the hose is brittle and falling apart. One-time use? No. Every bolt, every nut, every screw, one-time use? The only time I've seen one-time use bolts is, let's say it's on a valve cover on a Mercedes where it's torque to yield bolts. And they are very, very, very light, very thin little bolts. Once you bolt them down, there's certain torque specs, that's it. Once you loosen them, they're garbage. I think they're a stupid design. I don't know if they did that just to save money. But those are one-time use bolts. Torque to yield bolts. And they don't put those on every part of the car. They don't. Especially not the essential stuff. I'm not going to put that on for your wheels. So you're going to tell me it's a one-time use part? Every single screw holding in this engine or the oil pan? No. You're full. You're full of stuff. Full of baloney. There's no way. But they do it, and they swear by it. All these parts are one-time use. They may charge you over $100 and multiple screws and hoses and bolts and saying it's one-time use. And they won't do the job unless you buy it. So like I said, gasket is fair. Gaskets you can't really reuse. But once you put something on with a gasket, you can press the gasket down and bolt it down. So when you have to remove that part, that gasket is still compressed. It's not good anymore. You have to replace the gasket. That is fair. Gaskets are one-time use. If it's a torque to yield bolt, which is extremely rare, people use those. And again, that's like on like a valve cover. Yes. That's it. But these shops will charge you for the nuts and bolts on the engine, on everything. Everything that they can't even get to the part they're replacing. They will charge you for every hose in the way, every screw in the way. The dealers are known for doing that. Known for it. The European cars are worse than the Chevy and Ford dealers and the American car companies. The European cars are a lot worse. But hey, there's been a few times where I've seen a Chevy dealer that'll charge like a grocery list and one-time use parts. Most of the time they don't. It's like maybe like 6 or 8 extra parts in one-time use. And again, most of them aren't. You can reuse them. Versus BMW, where it's like a page of just one-time use stuff. And of course, like I said, they want to make money on the parts. So of course they're overcharging you on those parts too. So much money they charge. All right, let's just switch gears a little bit. I talked about how repair shops work. So what happens if you don't pay your repair bill? If you agree to having the work done and then you figure, oh, I don't want to pay anymore, they can do something called a mechanic's lien if they choose to, which means they will not give you the car back. And sometimes if the car needs repairs more than what the car is worth, there's certain laws and things that go into play. So I'm not going to get too far depth into it, but technically it can get to that point where the mechanic can own your car. You're not paying your repair bill to fix this car? It needs a $5,000 engine you approved. This car's worth $3,000 and you refuse to pay? They can do a mechanic lien and take your car. So don't try to lie and say, yeah, go ahead and do the work, and then think you can say, oh, I don't have the money, and take your car back. No, some of these shops don't play that game. They won't release the car either until you pay for the bill. So if you have an extended warranty and your warranty company is taking too long to pay the shop may not release your car at all. It will sit there until they get paid. Oh, the warranty company's credit card machines are down. Okay, well then the car's not leaving. And you as a customer are stuck until they pay for this. Or until you pay. Okay. So just go a little bit back on parts. This aftermarket parts company, I want to say their name. I really, really do. But everybody's like, any of these rich companies are like almost sue happy. Well, they'll sue you if you even remotely ruin their reputation. So I'm afraid to say it specifically, but there is an aftermarket company that claims they sell OEM dealer quality parts, and they'll charge you almost the same amount. So let's pretend AutoZone claims that their parts are from the dealer, and yet they're charging $800 for an alternator. And you're like, what? I can get an aftermarket one for like $300. Oh, but this is OEM. It's even better than the buying it from the dealer. It's not. It is aftermarket. This company is selling aftermarket parts, cleaning it up to make it look nice, claiming they are dealer parts, and then selling it to you as dealer prices. So this $300 alternator, they're selling to you for $800, and then they're claiming it's a dealer quality part. Or it's even better, and it's not. And they even make up their own part numbers. So if you look up an AutoZone part number and you Google that, AutoZone will usually come up in the Google, right? Because that's an AutoZone part number. This company will make up their own part numbers. So even if you Google it, it will not show up. But thinking that far ahead of the box, how sleazy that is, isn't it? Buy an aftermarket part and claim it's a dealer quality part and charge you those prices. And when I worked at the transmission shop, some of these parts departments, not just mechanics, can be like cutthroat when it comes to labor. Some of these parts departments can be cutthroat. And working at the transmission shop, they were cutthroat, as in they were not playing around. I need to make money. I need a paycheck. I got bills to pay, right? I've had shops call me every single week. Or excuse me, parts departments call me every single week. AutoZone would call me. I'd say another company that works with Pep Boys, they would call me. I had multiple companies calling me saying, why aren't you ordering parts from me? I'm like, we're a transmission shop. You don't sell transmission parts. Once in a blue moon, we might get, a starter coming in or something that's not related to transmission, maybe. And even when that happens, I shop around and see who's got the better price, who's got it available, but we're mostly a transmission shop. You don't sell transmission shop parts. Well, you haven't ordered from us in months. Who are you ordering from? Someone else? Not ordering from us? Who are you ordering from? Like, they will get aggressive. I had one salesman come in, and there's a company that works with Pep Boys that Pep Boys owns. And he's like, we know you haven't ordered any parts from us. And I told him, like, I've tried ordering from you guys before. You guys never have the parts in stock, and you usually charge more than the other local shops. No, we don't. They're always in stock. I called them right there. Like, all right, let me call them. I called them up, pulled up a past claim. Hey, do you have this part in stock? I had them on speaker, and the guy said, no, we don't. Interesting. I looked at the salesman in the face. I was like, let's try something else. Do you have this? Do you have a part for this vehicle in stock? One of my customers. No, we don't have that either in stock. I looked at him again. And then he jumped in. Hey, this is salesman for blah, 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 blah. Do you not have this part? He's like, no, I just said, no, we don't. He's like, all right, I'll work on it. And he walked out. See how aggressive he was in the beginning? Like I was making it up. There's a guy that, since I became manager at that shop, I was taking over another manager that was leaving. So I guess that guy was really good friends with one of the parts people for this other company. So he's used to going to him all the time. And now that I got hired, I don't do that. Because A, if we get mostly transmission repairs, we don't use any of those companies. They don't have transmission parts. And B, I shop around. Who's got what available? Who's got what in stock? What prices you offer? I'm not going to order a part from you for $800 and it takes a week to get here when the guy across the street has it for $600 in stock right now, right? It's better for the customer too. He didn't like that. He was like, hey, so Brandon would get me about $1,000 worth of parts every week. Why aren't you? And like that week specifically, I'm like, we don't have any, we're slow. We don't really have any work. I got a few transmission claims, but that's it. And even then, that you don't sell transmission parts. Uh-huh. So how come he could get me $1,000 a week and you can't? Just straight up ignore me. Again, I don't have any work. You know what this guy did? He left his job, like in the middle of a shift, to come down to me, since he's a manager too. So I guess he just can do that. Hey, how you doing? I'm such and such. I'm the one who's talking to you on the phone. So I figured I'd tell you face to face. How come he can make me $1,000 a week and you can't? Like, I got mad at that point. I was mad. I was like, you know what? Let me show you something. I showed him my clipboard. You see any names here that aren't crossed out? We have no customers today. You see any customers in the lounge right now sitting in a chair? No? We have no work. You want to see these cars sitting on the parking lot? We're waiting for a transmission on that one. Waiting for a transmission on that one. That one waiting for the customer. That is it. And then he shut up. He shut up. And he's like, if you need parts, order from me. And he left. You didn't apologize or nothing. He was so mad that he doesn't make as much money compared to the other guy that was there before me, that he would come down to my face and almost spit my face almost. Like, why aren't you as good as him? He got me money on parts every week. Why couldn't you? Like, cutthroat. They were all cutthroat. Order from me only, and I'll get you a discount on parts. No, order from me only. Order from me only. So it's not just the mechanics that are like trying to make money like crazy with a flat rate, right? It's the parts department too. So some of these shops may have deals with these companies and sell you parts that maybe are more than the other people around because they work with them. They get a discount. So even if that part takes a week to get here and the guy across the street can get it for you today, they may go with them because they have a deal with them and make you wait as a customer. Oh, sorry, it's going to take a week to get here. And they won't bother looking around for other parts companies. Nope, we only use them, nobody else. We don't order parts from them. And refuse. And it puts you in inconvenience. And then look at what I did. I tried to shop around to see who got it in stock, who got better prices, and they would all get very upset. They only wanted me to use them and only them. I got into it with a Pep Boys manager. So I'd ask her for a quote, and if I didn't use her, she'd get mad. I was like, well, sorry, but you don't have the part in stock and the customer's waiting. I'm not going to tell them they have to wait 3 days just so I can order from you. Or this guy down the street has it. I can get the customer in the car today. I had to involve the owner at that point because they just didn't want to give me quotes anymore. They didn't want to talk to me anymore. Nope, you don't order that many parts from us. We don't want to talk to you anymore. So it can be a cutthroat world. The mechanics, the parts department, and some dealers, they may portion out what you get paid. So let's say you charge $150 per hour to diagnose a car. The mechanic's not making $150. An ASC certified mechanic may make $25 an hour out of that 150. So that other 125, part of that may go to the parts department for a commission. Some parts departments make commission, some don't, which is why they try to sell you all these extra parts. Some may go to the service writer, a commission. And a good chunk of it goes straight to the repair shop. They get that. So even though you're diagnosing the car, it's your tools, they get most of that money. So you can imagine why mechanics are trying to sell what if they can. I'm not saying it's right. They shouldn't. They shouldn't upsell things you don't need. But so when it comes to parts, it comes to technicians with labor, service writers may try to sell you things too. Trying to make money, trying to make commission off stuff. So. There's also fees. Shops can charge you fees. I've seen shops that charge you a pre-diagnosis fee. To diagnose your car, they'll scan it. I got a code. Then they'll charge you a separate diagnosis fee. Okay, now I'm going to test to see what that code's about. Those should be the same thing. A diagnosis should be one thing. I'm going to charge you to find out what's wrong. That's it. I've seen that happen before. A shop will charge just to scan the car. Then they'll charge you again to test what's wrong. And then, of course, they charge you again to do the repair. And then I've seen them charge you again to make sure that repair fixed the car. What? If you diagnosed it right, then there wouldn't be a problem. Why are you charging me again to make sure you fixed it correctly? Well, it's our way of verifying the concern was done correctly. Okay, then why am I paying for it? Some shops will charge you multiple different diagnosis fees. Some may say, we'll charge you 1 hour at $150 per hour to diagnose what's wrong with your car. Even if it takes you 6 hours to find out what's wrong, we'll only charge you the 1 hour. I've seen some shops who be like, no, we're going to charge you every single hour it takes to find out what's wrong with the car. So if it takes us 5 hours to find out what's wrong with the car, then it's 5 hours times 150. You have to pay us all that in diagnosis fees. So make sure when you go to a shop to diagnose your car, ask them what they charge to diagnose your car. And then ask them, is that for each hour or is it a flat fee? $150 no matter how long it takes. Ask that before you go. They also can charge you, of course, a credit card fee. The machines that you swipe your card, there's a fee for that. That's why some gas stations will say cash price and then credit price. You pay cash, they don't have to use a credit card machine. You use your credit card machine or debit card, that machine, that company charges the vendors to use it. So they may charge a certain dollar amount or a certain percentage. Or these vendors will usually charge you that. So on your receipt, when you go to a gas station, let's say, sometimes it will actually say SVC fee or it'll say fee. That's for the credit card machine. That's why some old-fashioned gas stations, maybe they have credit card vendors that are too expensive. It'll say no credit cards for purchases under $5. You ever see that? That's why. Because of the fee. Let's assume this credit card company is kind of sketchy and they charge, let's say, $4 per transaction. They don't want you to buy $1 of gum. That's why they're going to say, okay, you have to spend $5 minimum. to overwhelm that fee. Or some will just straight up charge you the fee. They don't want to pay for it. You paid for this, there's a tax fee, there's taxes, and then there's a credit card fee. They'll charge the customer because they don't want to pay it. I think I mentioned before in a past video that some of these restaurants are starting to charge a credit card fee and taking it out of the tip money for the people serving you the service. And some servers may not know that they're doing this. And some restaurants will tell the servers, hey, for now on, with this credit card fee, we're taking it out of your tips. So I think it's awful. You're a business. It should be a business expense. You should be paying that. They don't want to pay it. So of course a shop's going to charge you a credit card fee, right? For wiping a credit card. Also going to charge you shop supplies. What is that? Gloves, rags, anything that they use in the shop, they're going to charge you. They call it shop supplies. It's usually like a flat fee, most cases. I kind of understand if it's like your car has oil all over the place, then you spend money in like brake cleaner and soap and water to rinse down your engine, to clean it, to see where the leak's coming from. Because all over the place, that's one thing. I think that's fair. But I've seen some shops will charge you a shop supplies fee no matter what the repair is, for anything. Like you're replacing a fuse, a radio, shop supply fee. They'll put on every single estimate, every single repair. It's like, come on, I should be paying for that. For the mechanic's gloves or the rags you use, why am I paying for that? That should be a business expense. They will usually charge you. It's called shop supplies. It could be 10, 20 bucks. It could be 50. So look, next time you go to a shop, look and see if your receipt says shop supplies. That's what that is. You're paying for the supplies in the shop. Let's see. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Taxes, shop supplies. If your tires replaced, there's usually a recycle fee to get rid of the tires or a tire disposal fee. It's usually not much. It's like $1 or $5. But also, if you have an oil change, sometimes they'll charge you a recycling fee. So you have to pay someone to come get that old oil. Excuse me. They'll usually put it in like a drum, have the old oil, have a truck come and they'll take it away. Or old antifreeze. That's what that charge is for. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. And maybe I'll make another part to this video. But for now, I think we're good. Just to give you the basics of what I talked about so far. Just take all this into account. See if you think they're trustworthy or not, where you want to go, what to do, what to look for. So I'll touch base a little bit more when I make the next video, part 3. All right, and I hope you have a good day.